I want to review hormones and the male sexual life cycle, but to do that we need to know a little bit about puberty. Puberty and adolescence start at the same time. So it's weird because they say adolescence starts at puberty and they say puberty starts at adolescence, but in either case, they start at the same time. Puberty is defined as the first few years of adolescence with notable hormone changes. So adolescence extends beyond puberty, but they both start together. Puberty lasts until full height is reached. So this is somewhere between like 17 and early 20s for most people. And puberty is caused by hormones. Let's take a look at the notable hormone changes of puberty. At puberty, the hypothalamus begins to release gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH. The GnRH travels from the hypothalamus to the pituitary, where it causes the release of two hormones, FSH and LH. FSH is follicle-stimulating hormone, and LH is luteinizing hormone. So far, this process is actually going to occur in both males and females. It's just the effect of FSH and LH is different in the male versus the female. FSH and LH are actually named after their effect in the female. So follicle-stimulating hormone is going to stimulate follicles in the female. Luteinizing hormone is going to affect something called the corpus luteum in the female. But their names don't apply so nicely in the males. Follicle-stimulating hormone is going to cause sperm production, whereas luteinizing hormone is going to stimulate the release of testosterone. Let's take a look at this process in more of an animation kind of way. We're going to start with the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus produces gonadotropin-releasing hormone. The gonadotropin-releasing hormone is going to cause the release of FSH from the pituitary, and the FSH is going to go to the seminiferous tubules and cause sperm production. Gonadotropin-releasing hormone also causes the release of LH, or luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone goes to the interstitial cells that are outside of the seminiferous tubules, causing them to make testosterone. In a previous video, we talked about some of the actions of testosterone. It helps to maintain male sex organs, it causes muscle growth, growth of bones, various other things. Something that we didn't mention previously is the fact that testosterone causes the development of male secondary sex characteristics. Secondary sex characteristics are anatomical characteristics that we typically associate with males, such as facial hair, growth of the larynx structures resulting in an Adam's apple, and then some things that are common to men and women, such as growth of pubic hair, growth of axillary hair, those types of things. You've probably heard of menopause. Menopause is something that occurs in women. It's the pause in menstruation, and it's accompanied by notable hormone changes. Males do experience something like menopause, but it's not called menopause. We just often sometimes refer to it as male climacteric. This is basically what happens when men slow down or stop producing testosterone. Typically, this doesn't happen until much later in life, and typically there are very few effects from this. Maybe less sperm are produced, but unlike menopause, it doesn't have a lot of different side effects that come along with it. Before we leave our talk on the male reproductive system, I want to talk about sexually transmitted diseases. Not because these are things that only happen in the male, but just because they're important. Sexually transmitted diseases are also known as sexually transmitted infections. Apparently that's where the literature is going now, is calling these STIs rather than STDs. They can affect both men and women. In some cases, though, males tend to be asymptomatic, meaning they don't have symptoms. Most STIs are caused by bacteria, which is good in a way because we can treat them with antibiotics. Examples of STIs caused by bacteria include chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis. Many STIs, though, are caused by viruses, for which we have very few treatments. Antibiotics do not work against viruses. Herpes is an example of an STI that results in genital sores. HPV is another viral STI. Males are often asymptomatic here, but some of them do develop genital warts. HIV is a rather severe STI. And this one definitely cannot be cured, and it can lead to death, though we are coming up with much better treatments for HIV than we did have in the past. Some STIs can be caused by animals, and by this I mean we have animals living on our body. An example of this would be crabs, which live on the pubic hair. It's important to note that many STIs cause infertility and some of them can lead to death, so they should be avoided. Many STIs carry common symptom sets. For example, there are multiple STIs that result in genital sores. There are multiple STIs that can result in genital warts. There are multiple STIs that can result in pain in the pubic and abdominal region. There are multiple STIs that can result in odd colored secretions, so secretions that are yellow or green, for example. So if you think you have an STI, definitely get checked out. And in case I didn't already convince you that STIs are bad, let's look at some pictures of them. So this is an example of genital warts on a penis. These are crabs. So down at the bottom we can see a microscopic picture of a genital crab. But up there, that's an eye. And it turns out that crabs can actually infect other areas of the body other than the pubic region. So these are crabs on someone's eyelashes. How do we prevent STIs? Of course, abstinence is the best way to prevent a sexually transmitted infection. If abstinence is not possible, then you should use condoms. But please note that condoms do not stop all types of STIs. For example, crabs can't be stopped by condoms. Another way to prevent STIs is to have fewer partners. There are also some STIs that have vaccinations like HPV. If you think you have an STI, you should get tested and make sure you talk with your partner.